Hi, welcome to valuationpodcast.com, a podcast and video series about all things related to business and valuation. My name is Melissa Gragg, and I'm a financial mediator and business valuation expert in St. Louis. Today's topic is actually talking about strategic planning, investment banking, exit planning, and really, we just use these terms a little interchangeable, but letting the numbers speak and why exit planning isn't the same as investment banking with Luntadila Paulo. And he is an immigrant from Angola. He's Pan-African, global citizen, and an entrepreneur. He founded Yeto Accounting and Tax PLLC in 2019 to help small business owners minimize their taxes and basically get ready to sell and increase their net worth. And I want to welcome you. Thank you so much for being our guest.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Melissa.
Talk to us about, how these deals are being negotiated business owner to business owner. And some of the consultants, like, we're sitting there, we're there, like I usually get a sign of like my guys, like, okay, you answer these questions. I have no idea what they're asking. But
Yeah.
sometimes we're including the business owners in some of the negotiations, not some of the beginning ones.
hmm
But a lot of our sellers are surprised by the conversations that we have, and
Yeah.
they're talking about their company as if it is a commodity, and it's talking
hmm
about their people as if they are commodities, and it's not a feel good process. So how do you get
Yeah.
prepared for having thick skin in this process of somebody coming in and really looking at your baby and saying, "Oh, I don't think you get that much income. Oh, you weren't
Yeah.
that profitable?"
Yeah. Absolutely. You know, this is part of the reason it's so critical to prepare for an exit, to prepare for it doesn't matter if you don't want to sell the company, you still need to prepare for your eventual exit, whether you're going to end up winding down the company or you're going to end up transferring the company internally to the people you love and care about, right? Because a big problem that I often see is people thinking, "Hey, because people are showing interest in my company, I therefore have a great asset." No, it might not be entirely correct. That's actually, in my experience, a losing proposition because just think about the art of the war, right? Whoever determines where the battle will be fought and when the battle will be fought is typically the general who wins, right? So, what am I trying to say here? Right? A business owner who receives an offer who wasn't preparing to sell their company, who wasn't thinking about selling their company, and somebody shows up, guess what? They're at a big disadvantage because somebody else is telling them what the business should be valued at, is making an offer, is telling them when they should be exiting and at what price they should be exiting, right? Even though, there is an interesting, psychological bias that I admire a lot, right? The anchoring bias, right? Once you have that initial value in mind, hey, she said or he said X amount of money. Therefore, it's really that or just a little bit below or a little bit above, right? So that anchoring element, that's a big problem to a lot of business owners, right? So, and when we advisor begin a relationship with a business owner, the first part that we try to prepare, or at least on my end, is not necessarily me because I know how I'm going to proceed with the negotiation and the deal, the engagement. I know how to research the other side of the conversation, some form of mutual due diligence there it's gonna happen. But the big problem is the business owner themselves. Sometimes we have to begin with the education piece. And that's not, I shouldn't even say sometime, it's very often the beginning element, right? In my firm, the first thing we do, right, we do a crash course of the exit process, right? If you engage us to help you uh, negotiate a deal and you want to sell, we begin with that crash course. What you should expect the process to look like, the timeline, the key milestone, the biggest parts where we're going to have issues, and how we expect to navigate around there, and especially to understand what are your goals and your objectives, right? And the starting point is to understand, okay, how far are you willing to go with the negotiation in terms of time, in terms of value? Are you expecting to get certain amount of money with your exit, with the business sale? If so, how much? And we're gonna tell you whether or not it's realistic. If your business have a number, let's just say five of the problem we discussed here a little bit, uh, and you're expecting, let's say, you're generating 500,000 in earnings, and you're expecting to get, let's say, 4 times multiple, that might not be realistic. And we'll tell you that. And look, if you really want to exit in the next 12 months, we don't think that that could happen. We can still go in the market advising you, but that may not actually happen because of that these problems you have here. And unless you address this problem and maybe wait a little bit more, then you can actually get better results. Otherwise, here's what we think could be a good spot for you in terms of value for your business, right? So, and when we begin the conversation with the other side, right, we're really careful to understand some elements, especially on our own side, right? Conflict of interest, because some engagements we are, when the client approach us, we are thinking of them in terms of retainer plus success fee, and sometimes, tying up the success fee to the price of the exit could be a little bit tempting, could be a little bit, challenging, because we've seen this actually happening with other advisors, where they want to sell the company to the highest possible price to the seller, even though we knew that company would never sell at that price. And the owner wanted to exit as soon as possible, and they were willing to compromise. The business broker was just not interested in bringing those offers to them.